Hi Aquarius, and this is your July. Is your ex coming back? For those of you the first time here, this is the name of my series. It really addresses people who are either in transition or who actually are anticipating that somebody might come back, and not for those who definitely can't come back, or even though in those situations this still helps, because you might see how he or she thinks, and where they are at spiritually. And it's not for those who every single month, I don't want my ex to come back, why is this here, blah 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 blah. Okay, please, you need to open your ears. You need to understand that this is just a specific series. Okay, I got it out of my system. These cards on the table, for the newbies, they're always the same, because these are not the cards that I read. These are called significators in this category. Magician, I'm going to see what goes on in your favor. In Temperance, what needs to be glued if this is ever to work. One significator, another either or is you, because this is general reading. And by the way, you have to check also your ascendant, you check your moon sign, possibly Venus sign, because they're all part of who you are. And since this is a general reading, it's not really likely that everything will be just for you. If it is, just give me a shout, because that's really amazing. But mostly these are tidbits, and that's why the best is to get your private reading. In the privates, I do this a little bit different, because that way I can connect with you and your energy, so it's actually even stronger than I have it here. Then we have the Judgment card. I want to see how is karma connecting over here, and then it will be next steps and where we are going. So let's see, Aquarians, who is it that you're still wondering about? Because sometimes even though people are not together, it doesn't mean that all the karmic bonds are cut. And sometimes you have this bond for 20, 30, 40 years, right? So people have an entire lifetime and marriage, and kids are big and having their own kids. And then you say, okay, now I'm done. I clean the house. And then you meet this person who you loved in high school, and all of a sudden it blossoms, because the bond was never broken. So that's what I'm talking about. And the hope is that, I guess, Aquarians are there going oh, this icon when this guy goes, no way. You're going are you kidding me? I'm not going to wait for 40 years. And I get it. We are Aquarians. We are not very patient, are we? So, while this is not one of our virtues, being fast is. So hence, if you're waiting for somebody like that, that is telling a story. So let's see what's going on in July for Aquarians. And by the way, guys, how I'm doing these readings from now on, I'm going to start readings with the people who had most clicks, most comments, most shares, most likes, and that way the next month and the next reading, they're going to get the reading before the others. So it's up to you guys. You used to be big supporters of mine, but you're just number 4 right now, so put that in perspective. So just keep working on it. So let's see. Ooh, Justice reversed, the first karma card. The Hangman reversed. The Temperance, rather to say. 3 majors, 4 majors. Oh my gosh, now I'm having goosebumps. I have actually never seen all majors line up. So okay, here we have 7 of Cups reversed. Majors are obligatory reading. You just cannot escape it. You have to go through it. While minors are maybe I can take left, maybe I can take right. Eventually I'm going to get there. There are different solutions to the problems. We have Page of Cups, and we have the Lovers reversed. So I don't know, guys, if you're dealing, I'm seeing very strongly air sign. I'm seeing very strongly fire sign. And the pragmaticism was not there. That's what I see. Somebody may have had obligations, meaning something hasn't been finished, and Aquarians were going kind of like impatient, need to go, you have to do it right now, I don't have like whole life, my life moves so fast. Aquarium being sign number 11 kind of like moved in that direction. Because you see, the Hangman is like kind of like trying to see things from a different perspective. I really think that kind of like was a failure, and it, if you really want to be honest, it does sound like us that we are dropping the ball. And it did feel that we are on the receiving end of some crapola right here, because the Justice reverses, and it feels like no matter what I do, it just turns to, right, poo. And or poo hits the fan, and kind of like really feels like it. And it's telling us patience. It's telling us patience. And it's kind of like, to me, you tell me patience and I feel like I want to pull my hair out. It's like the worst word I can possibly hear. I would like to know like what you say on this. But then there's like the strength, and this is like the 8 of wands. I don't know if I explained this. This is about the energy in between, the communication, and communication was about commitment. This relationship that you are here inquiring about was because it was serious. It was not a fling, at least in our mind, which it could have been that we wrote this person in our karmic chart. It could have been that we owe them something, and you know, Lannister always pays his bills. We don't want to own things. Aquarians are bad this way. We are very much unlike, and this is why the Hangman is showing up here as earth signs, where we are trying, we don't kind of like do like put it on my bill kind of a stuff, right, in life. Where the other person was taking that rather as an easygoing thing. Look at it, the 7 of Cups is the card of dreaming, but it's also a card of fantasy. In this case, being reversed, it makes me wonder if, you know, maybe that was like this big dream that has been created, like the picture have been painted, and then it just flopped for some reason. And that kind of like really was possibly a rude awakening for Aquarius, right? This also card can talk to me about temptation and indecision, insecurity, somebody being overwhelmed, right? Let's connect these two cards. Let's be serious. There was no shortage of love. There was no shortage of understanding, because I don't know, maybe you've been dealing with Leo, maybe you have been dealing with Sagittarius, maybe you have been dealing with Gemini or Libra. I also see earth signs here, or Pisces. So there are like some signs that are coming through, or they're kind of like strong characteristics of that sign. Keep in mind, again, we need to check our ascendant, we need to check our moon sign, Venus sign, because all of that kind of like plays a role in this. And the first card that knocked the door was Justice card, and that clearly talks about, do not forget the lesson you have learned. This also talks about cutting the karmic cord and asking of you to do it. And it looks like that you and this person initially may have looked similar. You know, this almost like tells me tomato tomato kind of a thing, but ultimately wasn't similar. Ultimately we're two different people looking from two different sides, and like it almost like feels like, and I still didn't get any blindfolded card because Justice is not blindfolded in this particular deck, but it starts to feel this way, that we wanted what we wanted when we wanted. And there was like something holding things up, because it was like very innocent, it was very gentle, but ultimately look at these two cards. 8 and 6 are again 14. You see how they are continuing to connect, right? It could be that the person was married, and that's why we have the Strength card over here, and it was like a big obstacle in terms of karma. Kind of like, I don't want you to break up because of me. You break up and make yourself free, and then we will see. And that kind of like was not appealing to this person because they didn't have the commitment. And yet you felt, why would I do that when you're not committing to me in the first place, kind of a thing. And yet if you divorce or you separate from, you know, that union where you are in, and then you blame it on me. I don't want that kind of pressure either. You know, sometimes we all talk people into, oh, let's go watch this movie, blah blah blah, just to go on a smaller level, and then they hate it or something happens to them, and then we are feeling bad for no reason whatsoever. The Lover's card is really interesting card, and it's a little bit of a misnomer, because the Lover's card is really talking about kind of choices, and it's ruled by Gemini, right? This also could mean, like, this could be Sagittarius and this could be Sagittarius. There are two opposite cards, right? So it almost looks like what you wanted they didn't want, and vice versa. I am actually really surprised that I'm not seeing any arguing over here. I'm seeing that it was just like simply lack of full disclosure. They kind of like boil down to, okay, I have to do it this way. It just kind of like they felt they had only one direction, right? Because in Lover's card, it's kind of like talking about that force that kind of like binds us together. But when this reverses, this is talking about separation and imbalance. This can actually indicate conflict now when I think about it, and also disconnection. And this is kind of like what feels bitter. It feels like I cannot give you an example that crossed my mind. It feels like you're chasing that carrot on the stick, and you're just about to grab it, and it snaps, so you realize it's plastic, and you're just simply missing it, and it feels very disappointing. I think disappointment is a very strong emotional state, because when I was like studying hypnotherapy to get my license, they're always trying to get us to kind of disassociate people when we kind of get them in a regress state, and always would be like, oh, like, you know, make them hate something, you know, like you want to make them quit smoking, and then you kind of like guide them through meditation where the cigarette is covered with worms and crappy things like that, or poo, and of course it's kind of like creating hate. But I really think disgust was actually stronger level in that. The layer of disgust was that kept them away. And I think this is it. It looks like that you have been disconnected for quite a while. And given that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 majors, this had like, I mean, huge resonance, but mostly in your life, not so much in theirs. Well, not so far. Let's see what goes next. Oh boy. I see tears. I see devastation. I see Aquarians losing their faith, losing their hope. Oh my gosh, there is like another Sagittarian card showing up. It was somebody like, you know, Sagittarian energy is very exuberant. It's very much, I can do anything. It's kind of like, let's do it. It's very friendly, it's very light, and it's very appealing to us. So it could have been somebody like that. But you know, when people don't have to invest as much in a relationship, they kind of have that energy. And maybe this is kind of like where we were feeling it. And oh my gosh, look at this, a 3-8. It was something that happened in Lionsgate. Lionsgate was the entry that opened up in August 8th, 2018, which was last year, almost like a year ago. So as I was saying here, it looks like that was something that lasted, like, I mean, this has been a while ago, not necessarily just a recent thing that I'm experiencing over here. Yeah, I see that's another commitment card. Look at all these majors that are kicking out. So something really went straight to ditch, and I can see here, guys, being lost and feeling used and feeling abused. This Nine of Wands is like that energy where people kind of like call you and flirt with you, and they come over, it's so lovey-dovey, but then, you know, after sex they start packing. They're not even bothering to spend the night. I gotta go, babe, see, I talked to you. There are no new dates set, nothing. You're just like left wondering what the heck is happening, right? And it's kind of like a confusion. But there is like something that is really interesting happening. This broken heart is still there. This broken heart is really hard to heal. This is like Three of Swords. These two cards are the most painful card that there are. One is like in the mind, and we Aquarians, we dwell so much in the mind. Now that I'm going through the shamanic studies, I'm trying to lower this down to heart chakra. It's hard when you're Aquarius. It's really hard because even when I'm going through this meditation and this initiations, I keep questioning, oh, is this really real? Oh, come on, this looks weird. And like, instead of going with the flow and letting it happen, letting it take you where it takes you, right? Because I'm a hypnotist, when other people try to hypnotize me, you know, I have all these barriers. And this is like what the mind does to you, which is kind of like that pain and grief and feeling of rejection. And this is like something that really needs to be addressed and healed. I don't know, like for some of you, I believe you have been involved with a person who is in possibly marriage, relationship, possibly with children. And while everything was fun, while it lasted, it ended. It ended almost abruptly. Like you just like didn't see it happening, right? And this like Five of Cups is like this cloaked figure crying over the loss. This is like literally crying over spilled milk, right? It is the issue where maybe some of you put your life on hold, I would say, but at the same time when this reverses, it does speak about nostalgia. There is like still what if stage going on. So what I was saying here, even though I have never seen this card as somebody coming back, I do see that possibility over here, even though I do have to tell you that this is going to be just like one more shot. Like come in and come out, just like somebody is coming one more time to see you, and then all of a sudden there is like that release, right? You know, release of energy. Yes, mister, I think Tiger agrees, right? So this is like a lovey-dovey messages. This is them coming to address some situation. Sometimes, and this kind of confuses me, this could literally mean that you're going to have such a strong dream or such a strong information that happens to you that maybe actual actual meaning is not really going to happen. But in this case, with these repetition, and this is huge emotional bond, like there is like no question about that. But look at this. The Sun, when it's reversed, is still actually a good card. So karma is saying, look, this almost really reminds me, hey, come on, like cut this contract. What is it about this person that you really want to make this continue? I don't know to which sign I was talking about, that, you know, trying to chase this twin flame is not a good idea, not at all. In fact, you should more focus on how many contracts you want to cut. That's the whole idea, that you clean your plate. Did you ever come to work and somebody told you the more the to-do you have, the better it is? No, it's the opposite. You want to clean everything and all the stuff, kind of like, right? Because you're dealing with a selfish person, somebody who is very egotistical, but also somebody who lures you into their world with, oh, I'm so sad, I'm so depressed, and almost like making you think. So this is like where we interpret too much, and the other person seems to know that the weakness of our interpretation, and they're not saying much, but they're letting our brain kind of like do kind of like stuff and kind of like does it. Because this person is egotistical, narcissistic, and this person is like not really able to control themselves. They have lots of doubts, and I really don't think that this person feels that they are adequate. But like, I mean, they're going from Page to Knight, right? And Page is like this very gentle energy, and that's possibly what took our kind of like walls down. The Knight is better, it's kind of like more fun energy. That's where we get intrigued and doing stuff. But we are the Kings. So we have the Fool, Six of Wands, the Magician. So we have 1 6, we have 2 6, we have 3 6. So now, and we have the Justice. We definitely have karmic connection confirmed over here. Wow, there is our card. It's a huge amount of majors. That's the kind. Oh, they're checking you out, but they have not changed. You see, knocking came through, at least for this month. If they come through, they're going to offer you initial sex, but it's not, then I just want to be clear, they're not coming to have sex and take advantage of you. That's clear. It is more than that. Like, I mean, there is intrigue. Like, I mean, you and this person were supposed to go all the way, and when it didn't happen, it just like came as a shock, because it is time to move on. The Fool is, take a leap. Do you really want to do it for this person? Because look at 0 and 1, and our card is showing up here. But this is not about having a victory dance. No, this is not about winners or losers. And I think this person has a tint of this, right? With this 5 of Wands, it's kind of like, you said that. Look, you know, if there were core values that you broke over, well, that's a different story. Most likely you're not going to patch up. But if it was so core values or big issues, if this person was married or you were married, or situational was, maybe this is a child that have been involved and it was not possible to push things through, well, that's one story, right? But the other story is like that things were just going kind of like solo. This card also can talk about cheating, guys. And Aquarians are not necessarily the sign that forgives. We don't necessarily, and this is a bad part of Aquarians, where we kind of like wrap ourselves in our own trap, that we are very open-minded. So if somebody says, well, you know, I was doing that, I was confused, we kind of like give people that redemption, being the sign number 11, right? So we are crowned with that number 11, and this number 11 can look like thorns, but can also look like a crown. So, but somebody, you know, giving the generosity to someone and somebody making us into an ass, it feels really, really bad. But guess what? I'm seeing this whole story repaired over here, and this is actually a really lovely thing. These 4 cards are absolutely amazing. So if you can put your own ego aside, which is hard, especially for Aquarians, we are not only one, we are 2 ones. So you see, this would be the card like number 11 that kind of connects to us naturally, right? So we have 1 and we have 11 here, right? So they are both out here. The Magician is saying, what is it you want, Aquarius? What do you want? Did you guys watch The Notebook? And it was the scene that Ryan Gosling is meeting Ali. I don't know what his name was in the movie. Meeting Ali in this lake scene when she's visiting her own, like I'm in summer, you know, love. And he's asking her directly, what is that you want? Make up your mind. That's what Magician does. It tells you, I'm going to give to you whatever you want. If it's going to be good for you, I don't care. I'm just going to give you what you want. So think about that. So if you want to win and just be with someone just because, I don't know, he's going to pick you over somebody else or other partner, is this really in your best interest? Is this like you're willing to take a leap of faith? You know, being, let's call it like, I mean, let's say at the job somebody lays you off, and then years pass by and they say, oh, you know what, like, you want to come back? And you're saying, okay, fine. And then they lay you off again, then you feel like double foolish, right? So same thing here. It might feel this way, and you might actually have your own reservations toward this kind of outcome. The Star is a really good card, especially when it's coming in our reading, because Aquarians are shown in tarot with Star, the Star and the Hermit. And these two, and I know some of you are going to, no, Hermit is Virgo. No, actually, Hermit also belongs to Aquarius. The Star is in tarot the light you really seek when you enter a new phase of life. It's that optimism, right? It's kind of like, I can do it kind of a thing. This card reminds you that you are really connected to the universe. You are not alone. And we Aquarians, we actually are the one who are basically the bringers of change. And this is really hard for most people. It is really hard, and few people who we know throughout history, recent history, let's think about Elvis Presley or David Bowie, who have been those agents of change. Like everything about them was metamorphosis. This is what makes them interesting, but other people cannot necessarily live that life, kind of stuff, right? So this is about renewal and hope and serenity. If this person comes back, as I said, I do feel more or less like revolving door situation, but it could be that you do not want. It's just because you used to like, let's say, steak at one point, and this person could be giving appearance of being the steak. Maybe you turn vegetarian in the meantime and say, I don't know, maybe I need something else, and I'm very hopeful that something really good will happen to me. And that's maybe because observing that they will continue being picky and shredding you down. It looks like the conversations that are taking place. Remember how I was like talking about aggression? I was picking it up, and this is the ultimate card of aggression, an ultimate card of wounded ego, the cards, right? And yeah, sure, like they're like two people thinking of each other, two people still loving each other. But it almost looks like that sometimes this love was very much on the level of a kid, and it didn't have this like high level of maturity, that it had lots of back and forth. And I feel like Aquarians got fed up and saying, look, you know what, I'm not going to even take my ball and go home. You take the ball and F off, kind of a thing, right? It just kind of like was, I had it, exclamation mark. But in the end, I think something good can happen out of it. And this is this quality here. This Nine of Pentacles is underestimated card in tarot, in my opinion. I love this card. And after I tell you what I see for this card, I think you will love it too. You know, they say we Aquarians are the sign of friendship, right? So which cards in tarot are really talking about the friendship the most? It will be Knight of Pentacles and Three of Cups. So sure, here probably should be on Compass, but this is the card that more or less talks about healing our chakras, fine-tuning ourselves so we feel resonate, we kind of better, right? So in this Knight of Pentacles, there is like somebody who is prepared and efficient and ambitious and practical. Maybe we are realizing that sometimes we are just chasing rainbows, and that's why the Fool showed up, because this is not a very practical approach to anything, right? But this is a taking a leap. And where would Aquarius take a leap? This is definitely air sign. Aquarius, we already like air sign. We already like, taking leaps and bounds and whatnot. So for us, taking a leap is taking things slow. So I'm leaving you at that, guys, because it's really important, because this is also ambition and practicality, and maybe finding a new way of dealing with this, or telling them, you know, pull yourself together. Let me know when you resolve your situation. If you resolve your situation, then why are we having these arguments? Aquarians don't run away from arguments, but we don't like them either, especially if they are repetitive, especially if they happen too much, and definitely if they are hurting us. Apology doesn't mean anything anymore. So people should really check themselves before they leap, and we quickly call generally call people names, and then there's like not something you can walk that back. And words do hurt, and they are remembered. So keep that in mind. And so this is a chance for redemption, guys, for both sides. And that's how I see. Either the person is going to appear in person and you're going to ace it, but you're going to ace it in a sense, I love you, but I think we need to sign off on this contract. Or you might move on and it might be one hanky-panky kind of a thing, but it ultimately looks like it's a kind of like moving on towards something that is workable, such as friendship, such as, okay, so how are you doing? So there is like no intensity anymore. Would love to hear your comments, guys. Make sure you watch your ascendant, and you're watching your moon and possibly Venus sign, because it gives you the elements. To get your own reading, please contact me at cattarot.ca. This reading is on special. It's $50, so let me check you out. At this stage, waiting time is a little bit lesser because I didn't manage finally to clean my slate. So love you guys. And yeah, if you want to be ahead next week when I do monthly readings, you'll need to start clicking. You need to start leaving your comments. So until the next time, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I did 30 minutes. Bye. Love you.